bar, or the pivot point for our trebuchet, is just made up of a pipe clamp. So what I did is I took one of the pipe clamps we had here in the shop, I took it apart, and I slid it through the holes in our uprights, and then I clamped one upright between this point on the pipe clamp, and then I took another end of the pipe clamp, I screwed it onto the other end, and I clamped it all together. So this creates a nice rigid bar. The only thing I'm concerned about is I think we might get a little bit of flex in this bar because there's going to be 100 pounds not just hanging from here but swinging back and forth, and I really think that's going to cause the bar to flex. Also, it's important that our arm is centered kind of perfectly between these 2 points. If we create a spacer that's about 7 1/4 on both sides of this, that should keep this centered right between these 2 points. And it also hopefully will provide some rigidity on the bar too. So I have an idea about how I want to build this. Let's check it out. Here I've got 2 pieces of 4x4 Doug fir that I've cut at 7 1/4. So what I'm going to do is find the center on these. To find the center, I'm just going to draw a diagonal from end to end, and that should show me where the center of the 4x4 is. Now that I have the centers of these marked, I'm going to go over to the drill press, and I'm going to try to drill down through here on the drill press. To drill this hole, I'm being careful to clamp the piece of wood on the drill press, and I'm drilling with a spade bit. Once we put our arm in, the spacer should hopefully keep the arm right in the middle of our 2 uprights. Now, something important we should talk about. When our arm spins through here, it's going to be rubbing against the side of our spacer block. That's going to create friction. So friction in this case is our enemy because we want our arm to run as smoothly as possible on our pivot point. If we create any friction at all, it's going to slow things down. So what we need to do is create some sort of washer to go in between here. And I don't have a metal washer big enough to fit on this bar, so we're going to have to make our own washer. And what that's hopefully going to do is minimize the friction between our arm and our spacer block. So I'm going to go around the shop and see if I can come up with something. I looked around the shop and this is what I came up with. I took a yogurt container. I took off the lid and then I cut little plastic washers out of the lid. So we're recycling the lids. I think these washers that I made are going to reduce the amount of friction between the arm and our spacer here. I know that this plastic is actually pretty smooth and it's going to slide nicely. So we'll put 2 of these on each side and hopefully that will prevent some friction anyway and make the arm run a little bit smoother. Once the spacers were installed, I glued on diagonal supports. I added these diagonal supports here for 2 reasons. Number 1, if the bar starts to sag at all, hopefully that downward pressure will be transferred over to our sides and it'll push out on the sides. And this clamp here, that's clamped everything together, will keep the bar from sagging. Also, if these blocks want to split at all going this way, the cross grain of our diagonals here should hopefully help keep it all together. Those are just glued in place, and I think it's going to make our bar and this whole top pivot point a lot stronger. Now that we've got this all set, I think we can now move down to the bottom and consider how we are going to create a trigger for this thing to release it.